Guys, with that being said, we're going to go on to Pam. Pam, if you would unmute yourself and say hello and let everybody know where you're from and a little bit about yourself.
Hi, y'all. I'm from Louisiana. Currently, I'm in Texas. You can see a saddle behind me. That's where I want to be. And now, without problems, I can be on that saddle anytime I want to because I've got my health back. What happened for me is in August 31st of 2016, I had a routine sinus surgery. That routine sinus surgery, he took away tissue and bone, but he didn't pack my face. I got home, and about an hour after I had been home from the surgery, I started bleeding out. And when I say bleeding out, I was bleeding out, bottoming out. So they rushed me back. My husband rushed me back to the hospital. They tried to stop the bleeding, couldn't, rushed me in for a second surgery. And the doctor at that point packed my face so much that the packing stayed. He had packed it all the way into the forehead region, where the packing stayed. Instead of 2 weeks, that packing stayed in there for 2 months, caused trigeminal nerve damage. I didn't know that at the time. I had gone to, since August 31st of 2016, and I'm not a person that remembers dates, but that date will never leave me, because from that day until February of this year, I had never gone without a facial migraine that would take me out at a level 10 at every single day, never stopping. So I had 2,400 days of level 10 facial migraines. And if you have ever had even a migraine, you know that you're useless. There are things you have to do, but you never do anything well. I saw 31 surgeons and specialists. I had every procedure that they said to try. I tried it. They said Botox in the face. I tried it. They said, take this medicine, that medicine. They threw everything at me. Nothing worked. Last attempt was, I had a brain surgery that he went in from the back. I have a giant titanium disc in my head now. And he went in and he clipped one fiber that would allow me to at least have wind hit my face. But that was it. That didn't stop the pain. It didn't stop the swelling. So the condition I have is called Sluder's neuralgia. It's called the suicide injury because there is no cure for it. And that is the outcome of most people that have this condition. That's how debilitating it is. So in February, after 2,400 days of making every single decision based around the limitations of my life, there were no expectations. The limitations were I could make it as far as this point, and then I knew I was going down. It didn't matter how much medicine I took, how much I tried to block my face. It did not matter. I was going down. And I had a friend named Brian Penrod who saw that it was in a 7-day cycle. I had had 3 IVs to break the migraine cycle. Nothing had helped. He asked me if he could send me something. He didn't tell me what it was, and I didn't ask. I was in a migraine. It just sent a miracle. He sent an envelope, and it looked exactly like this. And on the back of it, he wrote, just try this. Put this patch here, here, and here, drink a glass of water, and in 5 minutes, your level 10 pain is going to go down to a 2. Well, I had tried everything else. In 5 minutes, my level 10 pain went down to a 2. And in about 10 minutes, I believed it. Nothing had stopped it. So my husband looked at me and we didn't want to move or look at each other or say anything because we thought maybe it'll go away, but it didn't. And for 5.5 weeks, I wore Icewave and X39 in the same exact pattern on the back of my neck every single day. And I love coming to San Antonio for rodeo, and rodeo season is always a mixed basket because I would get to go, but I knew that in between performance and in between everything else, I was going to go down with heavy medication and miss most of the day, or at least not enjoy it like I wanted to. Well, this February, I got to go to every performance. I went through every barn, all the dander, all the dirt, all the stuff, the wind, the heat, the humidity, the cold, nothing stopped it. And for 5.5 weeks, I got to go to rodeo. I got to come back and volunteer for youth rodeo and help with the inner city kids. I had no pain. I didn't have to stop anything. I got to live my life again, pain-free. And I went back home and I realized that it's March in Louisiana. I mean, you wear shorts in March in Louisiana and you mow the grass. And I was outside mowing the grass and I realized I didn't have a migraine and I didn't have patches on. And I was outside doing what I wanted to do. And there was no residual go to bed, this is it for the day. And that's when I realized that I had finally broken the pain loop that no other doctor and no other surgeon could break. Lifewave and X39 broke it. And since then, I have worn, some days I need it, some days I don't, but I don't schedule my life around my pain anymore. It is gone. And I can say that I can do push-ups again. I can hang my head, I can sew, I can clean, I can do anything. I can ride horses.
So Pam, explain to everybody, because you said, I now can do these things. Why couldn't you do them before? What, if you did try to do them, what would happen?
The pain was so intense that you lose your balance. There's so much pressure in your head and there's so much pain and swelling that every day my face would swell up like I had a black eye, and it would go, the nerve pain wraps around from the back of your head where the veins come in from the skull, and it goes right over that eyebrow. And then all of this would swell up and become so big that you'd have to stop all stimulation. You'd have to stop everything you were doing, cover the eye, not have any light, any stimulation, and just lay still in bed. And then you had to position yourself because the sensation you get, I told this to every doctor I've seen in the last 6 years, it's like a sick sack of goo just rolls in your face. And while you know it's not there, that's what you feel. It's like being on a boat, but it's only your face moving. And it's so painful that you just go to bed. There's nothing else you can do. I couldn't help with Katie. I would cook supper and I would go to bed. I would make sure she was finished or clothes were done or something was done, and I'd go to bed. And so my quality of life was almost at zero. I mean, I could fake it through, but I was never faking it through without medication or without just horrific pain. And now I don't have that. Now I'm in Bernie, Texas in 102-degree weather. And look at this face. There is no pain in it. And it's because I have an Lifewave and an X39 on the back of my neck. So is there hope for people that have this uncurable condition? There is hope now, because while they say the only other thing they offered me was alcohol ablation, which kills all the nerves in the face, but they can't say that it'll take away pain. That just means you won't be able to feel your face on the outside. But that also means you won't be able to know if you're keeping food in your mouth or water or anything else. So I didn't think it was a trade-off. That was like the last resort that I wasn't willing to go to. And Lifewave changed my life and my family's life forever. And now everywhere I go, if I see anybody with that grimace of pain, it's like, do you need to be patched? Let me tell you about this, because this is that little patch that has the potential of everything. You don't have to base your life anymore on your limitations. You can base it on your expectations.
Right. And Pam, and that's true. I'm sorry, I should acknowledge that first. But I want to go back to, when you're in that much pain, and I want people to realize this, and for those who have never had a lot of pain but when you're in a lot of pain for a long time, it affects your mental and your emotional disposition. It changes your whole synapses in your brain. So literally you're changed from who you were prior to this event and to now. So I know you were going through some sort of melancholy, low thoughts, and poor focus and clarity. How is that now for you? I presume, correct me if I'm wrong by that, please.
No, I was hopeless.
No.
I was hopeless because everything that was offered didn't work. So when you look at it and you know that you're not going, if you plan a trip or you go out to supper with your husband or you do anything, you don't enjoy it. You look for an escape route of how you're going to get home and get back to laying still and covering your head with a blanket. And that is not living. So how did I feel? I felt hopeless and I felt abandoned, but I abandoned my family because they planned things that I couldn't do. And so it stopped them from living too. And when you see that, the damage that kind of pain does to your family, it affects them, because my husband would say, I leave in the morning and I know you're hurting, and I come home at night and you're probably in bed. And he was right. Now things got done during the day, but it got done just because of sheer will, and there was nothing else to do. But it was never out of, I got to garden today, or I got to do what I wanted to do. I only got to do what that amount of time, that little window, would allow me to do. So hopeless is, to say that is even minimizing what it really is when you live at a level 10 of pain every day.
Yeah. And now?
And now next Saturday, I'm going to be on top of a horse on top of a mountain in Montana. So when you live in a valley for so long and you get to have a mountaintop experience and you know what got you there, and it's just a little tiny patch, then you've done it all.
Anne, you have any questions?
I'm just amazed. And now that you said this is the suicidal thing,
That's what they call it.
and I understand. I never knew how much pain it, because I don't have pain myself, but just to describe what you went through, Pam, is unbelievable. And it's amazing you have come out of that valley. And I'm so excited you get to go and you're living again. So that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
My pleasure. I hope someone out there is inspired enough to at least have the courage to try it. I know that everything else has been thrown at you if you've had that diagnosis of Sluder's neuralgia. I know that they've thrown everything at you, but now there's hope, and you don't have to give up, and you don't have to quit your life. Now you can get your life back and go forward.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate your story and your courage of coming forth and sharing it and letting and trusting us with your story. Thank you so much.